Hello fellow modders, thanks for joining me. It is so cold in Wisconsin that the corner of my basement is actually forming frost on the inside of the wall. Granted, it is exposed to the outside air, it's not buried, but that's pretty cold. Luckily I have a few space heaters to keep myself from freezing while I work on this. Let's do a search for presence control. What exactly does a presence control do on a tube amp? So a quick search reveals, here's a description. In tube amps, presence control is usually a shelving type of equalizer, is normally implemented as a low-pass filter inside the global negative feedback loop. By decreasing the amount of high frequencies that are fed back, the high frequencies at the output of the amplifier are boosted. So similar to the tone stack, similar but different, executed differently. So can we do this on the Kustom 12 gauge? Now that we have access to the board, we need to determine what connections I need to make. Now the power amplifier is located here. It's a TDA2050, and downloaded the data sheet of TDA2050 and got the pin out. So the negative feedback is coming from the output, pin 4, through a 220k resistor, R28, and then back to pin 2, which is the inverting input. So all of the signal that comes from the output going back into the inverting input is inverted, hence the name of the inverting input. So what we want to do is, to start with, make a connection to pin 2 of the power amplifier. So looking at the pinout, oriented like this. So pin 1 is on the left, and then pin 2 of course is right next to it then. So what I'll do is I'll flip this over, and pin 2 is right there. So what I'll do is solder a short wire to there so I can make a connection to it. Okay, so I've been playing around with this a little bit, and what I have is I've got a 1 kilohertz signal coming into the standard guitar input from the function generator, and of course I also connected the ground, and what I'm using right now is my big breadboard to make additional connections. For the output, I have actually the original speaker that came with this amp, the 12 gauge Kustom. Got that sitting on the floor, but that's connected to the output. Connected to pin 2, we have, it's connected to pin 2, going to the breadboard. So right now I've got a 500K potentiometer connected to one side, so that's the inverting input of the power amplifier. And then on the other side, right at the moment, I've got a 47 microfarad capacitor connected between the potentiometer and the ground, the amplifier ground. So what that's going to do is when the 500K potentiometer is turned down to lower resistance, it's going to bleed off more of that negative feedback. So instead of going into the negative, the inverting input of the power amplifier, it will be bled off to ground. And the bigger the capacitor, the lower the frequency that's going to be shunted to ground. And so I also have a collection of other capacitors that we're going to experiment with. See here, ranging from, so I start with the biggest at the moment. I think it's 47 microfarad. I've got a 1 microfarad, I think like a 330 nanofarad, so just under 1 microfarad, and then like a 100 nano, and then like a 50 nano. So let's see what it sounds like. I'm going into just the clean channel for now, and then I also have the output connected to channel 1 of the oscilloscope, and so let's see what it sounds like. Alright, so power up. Hopefully this isn't too obnoxious. So as you can see, looking at the oscilloscope, I've got basically a steady waveform. Right now I've got the 500K resistor turned all the way down, and then let's start, actually turn all the way up, so let's start shunting off some of that negative feedback. So you can hear it takes a while, so probably 500K is too high. Gonna want to decrease that, and what I'm gonna do now is find the resistance of where the threshold is of starting to affect the output. And then you can also hear that it gets to a certain point of where it's shunting pretty much all of the negative feedback, and that's increasing the gain of the output. So we don't want to increase the gain. We don't want to have any negative feedback. So what I'll probably do is add also fixed resistance in series to limit the maximum amount of the signal that is shunted to ground. So I found these, I think they're labeled 60K potentiometers in my junk box, and I checked them with my meter, and they are indeed junk. They're basically new old stock, probably got them from a surplus place, and they read open. All 3 of them are totally open. So check your components before you use them. So I did solder wires to one, and then I checked it with my meter, and it didn't work. So went and checked a couple of the other ones. They didn't work either. So I did end up finding, I think it's like a 22 kiloohm small potentiometer that I'll be using for the variable resistor. And the fixed resistor that I found, I've got a 1.8K, I believe. So that should that'll limit the amount of feedback signal that's bled to ground. So let's just power up and see what we're starting out with. Oop. I try not to touch with my fingers because you can hear already that seems to have an effect on the gain of the signal, which is good. And I'm maxed out with the potentiometer, and we're still sounding good. So that seems like the values of the resistors are adequate. So now let's try experimenting with the capacitor. So leaving the potentiometer maxed out. Now I pull the capacitor out, you can hear that the volume decreases. Let's try a 1 microfarad. So much smaller. So what we're wanting to do is selectively increase only the higher frequencies. So the smaller the capacitance, the higher the frequencies that it passes. So since we start with a relatively large capacitance, it's going to bleed off the negative feedback of a bigger range of frequencies, which actually is what we don't want. But it's just starting out testing to see if the circuit works. Let's try 330 nanofarad. So now this is 0.33 microfarad. And let's also change to, let's do a frequency sweep. See if we can hear a difference. I'm turning the potentiometer all the way down. So what I'm hoping to hear is more of a let's turn the volume down a bit. I'm hoping to hear like more amplification at the high end. Oop. I think it's doing the trick now. Let's go higher. Come on. Oh, don't want to touch ground there. Luckily, this is all safe voltage. You know, this is... Actually, I haven't measured the board voltage, but I believe it's less than 20 volts. So if this was a tube amp, you would not want to be doing this, touching everything. Yeah, I think as you can hear now, if I turn down the potentiometer, the higher frequency is more subdued. And then as I decrease the resistance, you hear those high frequencies really come through now. Yeah, so that's what we want. So what I'll probably do is experiment some more with different capacitance values. I'm probably going to solidify the fixed resistor and also the potentiometer. I'll find a relatively small potentiometer, basically the same design as the existing ones on the amp. shut that off so you can hear me. I'll find another potentiometer to match the size of the existing ones, and then I'll find an open spot on the top of the chassis to mount it, and it'll probably be around like 22 kiloohms. And then what I'm also thinking at the moment is it might be nice to be able to select 2 or more different capacitance values. So I'll either incorporate a toggle or a rotary switch to be able to select different capacitances, so the user will be able to adjust the range of their presence control. All right, so still more work to do, but I think we're on our way. You didn't think I would end the video without some guitar sounds, did you? So right now I've got guitar set to neck pickup, tone is all the way up, volume's all the way up, and I'm going through the circuit that we already discussed. And this is with the potentiometer at its maximum value with the 330 nanofarad capacitor. Going through the same speaker as earlier. So, if you can hear this, as I turn the value of the potentiometer down, you should be able to hear the higher frequencies start getting louder. So here, with it turned down, go. Do-it-yourself presence control. Thanks everyone for watching. I genuinely appreciate it. I hope to make a lot more progress on this project amp this year, so check back periodically for updates. Also, if you noticed, there's another painting in my video, again by my dad. Check out his YouTube page, Great Couple Arts. And until next time, take care and happy modding. Thanks for watching, I genuinely appreciate it. I hope to make more progress on this project amp this year, so check back periodically. Also, check out my dad's website, my dad's YouTube, Great Couple Arts. He painted this one as well. And stay tuned for more featured videos. That sounded really stupid. I guess my pets didn't want to be in this video.